3-day workshop with Jason. You'll notice that the Zoom chat is intentionally turned off. Give me just a few moments here. I'll pull up the Facebook page link, which is the channel that I'm paying attention to for commentaries. We are live in, I think, 9 or 10 different social channels. So if you are joining us, let me just pull, I think, Jordan, you might have just pulled the Facebook chat, streaming link. And what I want to do is make sure, first of all, everybody can go there and you see it. If you look in the chat just now, everyone, looks like you can click on that link. And what I want you to do is go to that streaming for a second and tell us what city or state or region you are checking in from. I would love to know kind of really a good temperature check of where everyone is. And I'll go ahead and start the recording. Welcome everyone to day one. If you are joining us, this is our Sell One to Many with 1 hour webinars with Jason Wojo. If you don't know who Jason is, I'm excited to bring him to the, I guess, the stage, virtual stage of some kind at high level. But we've got a lot of cool things to share when it comes to webinars. Jason comes from a ton of experience when it comes to digital marketing. He's been awarded multiple times by multiple companies for all kinds of figures. But the one thing that I really love Jason and his strategies on is he goes all in on 1 or 2 strategies and don't waste time with a bunch of different things. And he's he's someone that's practical with what he teaches, and teaches from a lot of experience. Jason, welcome into day one of our 3-day workshop, man. We got a lot of time together. I'm excited to kind of hear your story, and I'm sure everyone else is as well.
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to connect with everybody in the high level community. And yeah, dude, let's crush these 3 days.
Yeah, so we spent some time talking about what should we teach. We had a lot of different ideas and thoughts. Help us understand one to many with 1 hour webinars. And the idea there is to get to a world where sales is a bit more on autopilot. Help us
Mhm.
understand your thoughts on what we can learn over the next 3 days, and let's then focus on what we're going to learn today.
Yeah. So biggest thing with webinars over the last, 5 to 7 years is that, 5 to 7 years ago, it was mostly automated webinars, right? And people's buying behaviors have changed. And I see that with a lot of our clients in our agency, people struggle with closing over the phone. And it's one of the biggest issues that I see. Business owners in the high ticket space will always say to me, hey, like, I'm getting all these leads, but I just don't know how to close them. So I said, hey, listen, why don't you just do webinars where you can talk more to the prospects for a whole hour and sell the same product to many, many people? And it was something that came into fruition, especially for price points for anywhere from like a 297 course to a $2,000 to $3,000 program. You could sell it efficiently from a webinar. And we started seeing success in multiple niches and verticals, and like I started rolling it out more and more. And then I realized like, hey, I could really teach this at scale. Because I don't want people like you said before, I don't want to teach people like 8 different skills at once. Like if you're not good at sales, the last thing that I really want you to do is be like, okay, well, we have to figure out how you get better at sales. Why don't we just beat the learning curve and help you have an actual sales process that's more efficient instead of trying to learn 18 things at once?
I love that.
So
So if
I,
you're if
I hope
you're
that makes sense.
Absolutely. If you are just joining us, we're in the early stages of day one of our 3-day workshop with Jason, and we're going to teach you how to launch and really strategize around 1 hour webinars. There's a lot to it. I'm seeing a lot of people comment here in the Zoom chat. You'll notice that chat is intentionally turned off. Click on the link that allows you to go to the Facebook stream, which is where Jason and I are paying attention to the comments. So in the comments, tell us, do you currently run a webinar for attracting clients? If not, no worries. But if you are interested in running a webinar but don't know where to start, tell us yes in the comments. Give us an idea of your interest level. And Jason, before we go any further, tell us about who Jason is. Like, what's your story? How did you get into the world of marketing? How did you find high level? And like, what are we going to learn today in day one?
Yeah. So, Joe, just to go over like what we are going to learn, before I go into my story, we're going to be going over the basics of what your webinar offer should look like. Okay. So a lot of people are confused about, what do I say on a webinar? What am I going to be pitching? Like, what should my product look like? What's a good offer stack? What do people actually want to hear from me? I'll be going over all of that today. So you actually understand, like, hey, I have this package. Now we know what people are going to get. And now I can put it on a landing page. Now I can put it into an ad. Now I can put it into the right copy. Now I could put it into emails. Now I could put it into the SM, like whatever the ecosystem looks like. And now I can revolve my content around it, because the biggest thing I see with business owners right now is that they think as if they are the customer. You are not the customer. You have to think about what the results driven promise is that they want, not what you think they want. And that's a big thing. So, how I got into this, I was in culinary school 7, 8 years ago. I hated culinary school. I wind up dropping out. I was flipping Pokemon cards instead because my dad only gave me $180 a month to survive in college, which is not a lot of money, especially in New York, not a lot of money at all. I had like, these coupons for the food at college. And like, I realized that it just wasn't for me. Like, I didn't like being in lab for 6 hours a day. I liked Pokemon cards more. I still trade to this very day. And it's a habit that actually does very, very well. So got out of culinary school, wanted to go to business school because Pokemon cards were just better and more efficient for me. And when you're on the internet, you just find things. Okay. And I wind up finding Ty Lopez's course, took that, got into pitching local businesses on SMMA, very efficient. Just like all courses, like people have this weird stigmatism about courses, but like if you actually use it, you will get results. People just don't like courses because they open it and never use it. Um, so went through that, started pitching local businesses, brick and mortar, home services, got about 10 solid clients at about 250, $300 a month. And then I wind up taking that money, saving it for about a year and a half, moved from New York to Orlando. And that's where I started paying my own rent, started having my own expenses. I got a taste of what paying for my own car insurance was like, because I wasn't bundled with my parents anymore, getting groceries. Like my mom wasn't cooking for me anymore. And dude, like we just went really hard. Like I was a solopreneur and I had to make it work, and I put my back against the wall, and then I started growing and growing and growing. And then I had to figure out how to hire my first right-hand man. And dude, from there it just took off. And then 5.5, 6 years later, here we are. And
Yep.
one thing I really want everybody to understand is that regardless of where you're at right now, you're in the high level community, you're using a bunch of softwares, you're in a certain niche or vertical, you have a certain size team. Like if you're just willing to stick around long enough to get a W, like you're gonna win. And a lot of people get really intimidated by big numbers or big revenue marks. Like I'm 27. I never thought this was going to be a thing. And I think that's what most people will say the same thing as well. It's really about sticking around long enough to get a W, because if you quit, like that's the only thing that's really going to stop you. So regardless if it's webinars, if it's an application funnel to a sales call, it's DMs to Instagram, it's going live, and it's being on YouTube every single day or posting 3 times a day on TikTok, whatever that looks like for you to grow your business right now, you need to figure out what that one like revenue driver is, and building products around it and attaching the right things to it, not just doing more. Don't associate doing more with making more money. It is completely false. I've been doing one thing for 6, 7 years very, very well, and it did really well for me. So I'm going to teach you webinars because I know that webinars work if you do them correctly. Because if I get people to sign up for a webinar, I'm getting their email. And this is an important thing to understand. And this is the big basis point of why being here is just so important. If you run a book call funnel right now, most people are going to pay $50 to $150 per call booked. Okay. Some even higher. Some are paying $300, $500 a book call. So, and then to actually have a showed call, $750, $1,000 if you're selling high ticket. What if you had $1,000 and you were able to get $5 to $10 signups? You're now going to get 100 people to 200 people on your email list for the same price. And that is more valuable long term. And you get to talk to them live, just like I'm doing right now to you guys. And you're going to be able to have just better retention. You're going to be able to also have content. You're going to be able to also have people who don't come to your webinar one week and then they get to come to it next week. And then they get to follow you on social. And it's just this forever pinwheel that you're putting people through. So maybe you don't want to run a bunch of ads to a webinar, but run one once a week organically. Go on Instagram Thursday nights, because I've done so much data on this. Thursday nights have the highest show rates for a webinar, 7 p.m. Eastern, works every time. Go and post on your story, go in your Facebook groups and say, hey, I'm having a live webinar tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Click the Zoom link below and sign up. You're going to have people who are following you, who you think, oh, well, I only have 200 followers, they're not going to buy. They're on the fence. If you have 200 people, there's going to be easily 2 people there who are potential customers. You just think because you don't have a lot or you don't have a million followers that no one's going to want to buy from you. Completely false. Okay. I look at, dude, some of the most intimate, smaller rooms are the best rooms. The smaller rooms are the best. Just like this, we have 250, 240, whatever people. Like these are the great size rooms to where we can be more intimate. We can be more engaged. You don't need to have thousands of people in a room to make a lot of money. The smallest rooms I've ever had, I've actually made more money in smaller rooms than bigger rooms, surprisingly. So, just being able to have that engagement to the audience.
Absolutely. So, Jason, as we go further into setting the agenda for the day and what we're going to cover exactly, and I know you're going to share your screen and stuff like that and go through slides and whatever. I want to make sure everyone here understands everything we're sharing is not a assumption, or we're not saying that you're going to be able to go make a bunch of money, right? We're going to tell you from practical experiences of how we built businesses and the trials and tribulations behind it. And don't assume you're going to make the same amount of revenue or have the same exact results. That's not true. Matter of fact, everything we share is going to be special results that we've achieved over time. And I don't, I don't want to speak, I'm speaking for high level in general, and Jason will speak for himself, but I want you to know that webinars work. I know it works. I even went to a lot of events around webinars in Florida with Onyx Single and a couple of others similar like that, that hundreds and hundreds of really big players are in a room strategizing how webinars can move the needle, and that's the only channel they use and nothing else. And we know that this works if it's done right. What I wanted to do with Jason is come in and teach you the fundamental basis of what you should look at, how you launch a webinar. And I know a lot of SaaSpreneurs are in here today. Tell me in the comments, what are you, an agency owner? Are you a SaaSpreneur? Are you doing both? What industry are you in? If you can give us engagement, I know it'll energize all of us together, and as a community, we can go further, farther. But I
Mhm.
want to know what industry you're thinking about to run a webinar. Is it automatic? Is it like live? Is it replay oriented? Is it pre-recorded? Is it live? Is it evergreen? There's so many layers to webinars. But Jason, if you want to share your screen and just tell us what are we going to learn today? And I know, Jason, you also mentioned you do want to do some giveaways. You're going to give away a snapshot and stuff like that for those that are jumping into a trial. Can you just first
Mhm.
maybe address that before we go into the agenda? There's a lot of people that are here that I've never seen some of these names. They're probably on the fence about high level in general. And I know
Okay.
we have a 30-day trial. Maybe let's highlight some points on that and then we go through
Yeah.
day agenda. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, first off, after working with so many different softwares out there, okay, and it's not to bash anything out there, but I've used everything from ClickFunnels to Kajabi to everything in between A to Z. Okay. And um, we were in a place in our business where we were capped on ClickFunnels. We were tired of having to hook up Zapier to all these things. Right. And I was like, hey, how can we just condense all of our stuff into one platform? And then one of my partners at the time, Casey, he was like, yo, just go to high level. And I was like, I don't know what high level is. I had no idea at the time. And then I wind up, using it. And I was like, dude, this is insane. Like how I can do all my texts, my emails, my landing pages, my automations. I can put my sales team in. I can do all of these things and it can still API key and webhook hook up to Zapier, even if I had to do anything else. And that's when I decided, I was like, hey, like we're just going to switch. For anybody in this room right now who is like, oh, I have all these different softwares, I have my course here, I have this here. High Level does it all. And I was able to partner with High Level as a sponsor marketer over the last 6 to 7 months now that we've been, doing this. They came to one of my events, they sponsored one of my events. They've been really kind to be able to have me come on here and spread my message and reach. we have a 30-day trial for you guys. So I don't know who's going to drop the link.
I put the link I put the link in the
Yeah,
Zoom chat. Uh, Jordan, if you want to grab that and throw it into the main streaming, you can. But this is for a limited time for those that want to do a
yes.
30-day trial. We typically don't do a 30-day trial because we know the
Yeah, it's
product is really
always a 14-day trial. So, you can go to any other platform. It's 14 days. We're doing 30 because you're on this workshop right now. So take advantage. There's no risk. At
yeah.
day 29, if you want to cancel, you can cancel, but you're not going to want to. So
Yeah,
go for it. 30
and
days.
if you do jump into this link, you do get snapshots and collaterals and resources from Jason. Can you share a bit on that?
Yeah. So the snapshots that I'm going to be sharing with you guys are, if you have your webinar landing page, right? You have your webinar landing page. I'm going to go over a lot of examples and templates and show you some actual live webinars right now that we're running that are doing very, very well to give you some offer ideas. I'm going to go over, probably a good 3 to 4. And the biggest thing with this is that you need to have high show rates on a webinar, because that's the biggest objection that we get is, hey, Wojo, I'm going to spend all this money on ads. How can I guarantee people are going to show up? So the snapshot I'm going to give you is the webinar landing page template. Okay. So that you can literally go into your high level account and say, okay, cool. I know that this webinar landing page works. It gets $5 to $15 signups with ads. And you can literally plug into your high level and start playing with the words. And I'll walk you through like how I curate headlines, my sub headlines, what the landing page should look like, etc. And you can look at proven ones that work right now. Second thing is, you're going to get the exact emails and SMS templates. So what am I going to send to them? What are my subject lines? What is the email going to look like? I have all these SOPs, even the emails and SMSs after webinar. And also what you're going to get is a Google Doc that breaks down and shows you proven webinar ads, right? So you're going to be able to see winning ads that have worked really, really well. And then on top of that, you're going to get um recordings of webinars that are actually converting. So you're probably going to sit there and go, oh, well, I don't know if my webinar is going to convert. Like, what do I say? What are the slides? You're going to get those slides. You're also going to get the recordings from ones that don't include slides, because sometimes slides are good for some niches and sometimes slides are not good. So I gave you both variants of a webinar that made money without slides and one that made money with slides. So I'm giving everything, because it's just going to be really exciting to be able to, branch this with you guys and show
Yep.
you what I've been working on. Also, we're going to hop into Ads Manager. We're going to do a bunch of cool stuff. You're going to be able to see ads that work. You're going to be able to see the copy, like all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. I care a lot about education inside of high level. It's one of the things that I'm passionate about in biz dev as a department as a whole. So we're very careful of who we bring on a webinar, put them on stage and hear their message and make sure it applies to you guys. And I can tell you what Jason's going to teach you is going to move the needle in your business. I want you to pay attention. I don't want you to get distracted. He's going to teach you probably 4 or 5 different tactics and methods and strategy. And I promise you now, you don't have to implement all of it. Just take one thing and go all in on that one thing and improve from there. What he's going to teach is really the findings of the last 6, 7 years of running 7, 8, 9 figure businesses with people that he serves and things like that. So I want you to take it with a grain of salt. If you're brand new in the world of digital marketing, and you've never heard of even an agency, you've never even heard of the word marketing agency or the idea of SaaS, if this is all like a brand new world and you're ready to just like throw up because this roller coaster is going too fast with all these like acronyms and words, and if it's a lot, give me a one in the chat, and I want to pay attention to you because I want to tell you what Jason said earlier on is true. Just stick it out. Be around the right people, be around the right coaches, the right mentors, and stay true to yourself and put in the work. I promise you the results will yield on its own. And every time somebody tells me, hey, I don't know how somebody's cracking the code here, I can tell you somebody's making money in every industry. It's not the industry, it's the person that's running the business or the team or the strategy. So, Jason, without any further ado, let's go into what we're going to teach. There's so much to cover. 3 days worth of stuff is going to be
Mhm.
covered, from 6, 7 years of findings in running 1 hour webinars. So let's go right into it.
Awesome. So let me get my screen open here. I have a couple that I want to go through.
Yeah. So
Okay.
day one, you're going to talk about funnels and landing pages, or day two, or day three. Help us break down all 3 days real quick before.
So I'm going to go through like just offer ideas, and also show you the verbiage of webinars and how, because the biggest premise, and I'll just get into this. I want to simplify this as much as possible. So what I'm going to show you today are a various amount, and I'm just going to scroll through these and we'll deep dive into each. Okay. I'm going to show you multiple webinars right now that are currently converting, and I will be able to dissect each one and basically break down, hey, like, why do these do so well? Why do they work? Okay. So let's just rear back to the very beginning of what a good webinar standing offer will be. Okay. If you're sitting there right now and you are a coach, consultant, service provider, digital info product owner, offer owner, whatever you want to classify yourself as, you need to understand that people do not want anything complex. Okay. They want a RDP. Okay. And what is an RDP? An RDP is a results driven promise. So make sure this is recorded, but make sure you're sitting there right now thinking about your offer. Like, you need to be able to tell the audience what you do in one long sentence. Okay. What do you do in one long sentence that will get people to go, aha, the aha moment for the actual prospect? So if you're in real estate and you maybe are teaching people how to get into their first Airbnb, or you are a SaaS business owner who's helping real estate agents book an extra 10 calls per month on Autopilot, like, you have to actually think about what that one sentence is. And the reason why I'm bringing that up and I'm getting so heavy on it is because a lot of people get hung up on, like, what am I going to talk about in this webinar, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. I'll go into all that. But what I want you to understand right now is I want you all to sit there right now and write out your headline. What is your training going to reveal, and who is the avatar? And I always start off my headlines this way. Training shows how X kind of person or X kind of avatar is going to get this one thing. Okay. We've always heard, you're one funnel away, which is not really true, but like, the audience needs to realize that they want to be this one, like, your unique mechanism is the one thing. Okay. And what is a unique mechanism? Well, a unique mechanism is the thing that makes your product so unique that they can't just go on Google and search it somewhere else. They can't go online and be like, okay, let's say, for example, like, my thing is like my 4-prong ad system. Okay. They can't go on Google and search that and find somebody else who's a competitor. That is my unique mechanism. I have a client who does a webinar on getting people in their first Airbnb. It's called the B&B Boost program. No one can go on Google, search it, and say, okay, I found someone else with a B&B Boost program. No, that is his mechanism. Okay. And it's important to understand this. So what is this results driven promise that you're going to give people? And then what do they not want to do? And that is the without piece. What do they not want to do? Like, for this offer, they don't want to put up any of their own money. They want to use crowdfunding, or they want to get access to a pool of investors to get their first commercial property. Like, maybe they don't have crazy credit. They can't put up, or they don't have a ton of liquid funds. They don't want to put their own money. Okay, cool. Mike and Bo can give you access to their network, and they can also put in money into deals as well. Okay, this one, people want to know how to sell. So his specific audience was car salespeople. Hey, if you're a car salesman, I'm going to show you to double your commissions in 90 days without being sleazy or salesy. Salespeople always are under this impression that they have to understand this new tactic, or like, I have to be really pushy with my sales to make more money, or whatever this looks like. You just give them one results driven promise, and it has to have this one thing that we like to call believability. Don't make a crazy claim in your offer. Don't say, oh, well, if you're a coach, I'm going to help you hit 50K a month in 30 days. That is, first of all, FTC uncompliant, and it is also not believable. Okay. There needs to be believability in the offer. For the one example I showed before, how this, like, let's say I said trading shows how this pre-vetted award-winning AI is helping real estate agents book 10 extra calls per month without running paid ads. That is a sexy headline. It is believable. One booked call every 30 days is a believable statement. Okay. It's not like I said 30 book calls in 30 days. You're not really it's going to be hard for you to do that organically unless you have a massive following. Also, what do people not want to have to do? They don't want to have to post content every single day. They don't want to have to go live every single day. They don't want to have to, run hundreds of dollars of paid ads every single day. There are certain parameters of what they quantify with their time and what they quantify with their skills. Okay. Another one is this one's another one, first investment property. This is where he's doing fix and flips, showing people how they can get their first fix and flip and profit on a first fix and flip. There's different mechanisms for what people are pushing in their trainings. What I will tell you right now is if you're in any type of offer like this one, for example, he's a trader. He does very, very well. I'm going to go through the structures of the landing page. I'm going to go from top to bottom here of what your landing page should have and what it should look like. But if you're in anything that's helping people generate more income, right, which obviously needs to have certain types of compliance. I'm just going to keep saying that because of legal reasons. Like, you have to have compliance. Okay. You can't state things that are not true. Also, you have to state things that are not that are not believable in the average consumer's eyes. Okay. So being in anything that's helping people earn more income, or it is, helping people, maybe double their commission or double their closing rate or whatever that looks like. I have a lot of people in here who are a SaaS. Okay. Are you helping people double book their calendars? Are you helping people get 30 new leads in 30 days with cold email? Are you helping people, or are you helping local businesses land one new roofing job per week? Like, what is this offer that you're pushing out to the marketplace? It needs to be just one thing. Don't go in the headline and say, hey, reveal how you can get 30 new leads in 30 days and get an extra 3 clients and grow 100 followers every single week. Too much info. It's too overwhelming. The audience can't digest it. Okay. That's why, I wrote the copy for this whole workshop. Sell one to many with 1 hour webinars. Simple. 1 and 1. I didn't go, hey, sell one to many with small, little known webinars with only 176 slides that are copy and paste and drag and drop and all these random words when I'm trying to make it look more unique, when it has to just be simple. Simple sells. Okay. So, a big thing with webinar pages, and I've dissected this through multiple, is the following, right? Whenever you're writing a webinar landing page, which, by the way, you're going to get this exact landing page, okay? I always put the time of where it's going to be on the very top headline. No, I don't put attention business owners on the top, okay? If you're pushing SaaS and your headline has a claim that has to deal with B2B, here's the thing that you have to understand. You don't want to just market to everyone, because then you're going to get everyone, right? It's not appealing to get everyone. It's appealing to get the right people in the right room, like the 200 plus of you. You're in the right room. You saw that you wanted to sell one to many. Maybe your sales team is not great, okay? And this is all constructive criticism. Maybe your sales team is not great, or you don't want to be on sales calls all day. We hit the right pain points of where you're more comfortable going on Zoom and virtually selling. Completely fine, right? Second piece is your headline, okay? And I always go with the following headline script, where you can go for the whole angle, because this is true. Like, he has the biggest following online for options trading, so that's why we use this. There's different angles that I use. There's reveal how. There is training shows. So I want to go through these again so you guys understand. So we either go for the person's name because they're very well known. Okay, so let's say, for example, like if we were to put Tony Robbins, #1 life coach, or, Onyx Signal, #1, we could say #1 compliance, because he has a compliance offer. So it's like everybody has their niche that they're in. You can use that angle, or you can go straight for reveal how and this is their unique mechanism here. Okay, this is important to understand. When I put stuff in parentheses or quotes, it is for their unique mechanism, because You don't just want to tell them like, yeah, it's wholesaling, but now it has more uniqueness because I called it something. So reveal how our unique mechanism is helping regular people cash in deals of 20K to 35K profit. And our inner circle, because I'm showing people that it has more curiosity. Like we have an inner circle. This is not open to the public. There is scarcity. It's land deals fast with no money, and we get all the deals offline, which is true because he has a whole entire list that he taps into that he pays for every single month. So he can get the members in there and say, all right, cool. We have all these wholesale deals that we can hit that Zillow and everything won't touch. Like we don't use these platforms. We pay for them offline. Okay. Training shows regular everyday people step by step how to own one commercial property that brings in X amount on average without putting up any of their own money. Simple, and then without. Okay, so it's either training shows, avatar, step by step how to do X, or it's reveal how our unique mechanism is helping X people generate X result without X, or it is the I'm proclaimed. People know me in the space. I don't have to explain myself. Like, you wouldn't really see Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi using headlines like this. They would just put their name in the headline. Okay. Like I put my name in the headline because people know me in the advertising space. Okay. Maybe some of you are really big in the SaaS world, right? Like Sam Ovens is huge in the SaaS world. Alex Hormozy, they run school. They don't have to have a unique mechanism. They just have to say, hey, Alex Hormozy, number one, like community entrepreneur, number one acquisition entrepreneur is revealing school, the number one blah 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 community group or whatever. So it really would just be that simple. And then this is your sub headline. Okay. Your sub headline is either going to do two things. Your sub headline is either going to do a without, which means without having to do X, Y, and Z, which you should sit down. And I always have this black whiteboard behind me. This is a little cool, like productivity hack. I see a lot of people who use whiteboards and they're actual whiteboards. Okay. I'm going to be honest. They're boring. Like the whiteboards. I use a black with white chalk because it actually makes me want to use it. It's a weird psychology hack. But when I had like just a regular whiteboard, I got bored of it because everyone has a whiteboard. But not a lot of people have a glass whiteboard. And no, they're not crazy expensive, like $100. But like they're very cool and it makes me want to use it. So what I'll do is I'll go on my whiteboard and I'll be like, okay, what are the things that my avatar does not want to do? And I'll write them down from most important to least important. And I'll usually highlight 3 of them. Okay. So reveal how this simple copy and paste trading here is helping his students see quick wins, even with small cap. Their biggest objection is 2 things. It was, can I start with $500? Like, do I need a crazy account size? Okay, no, you can use it with $500. It's fine. And having to know when to get in or out. No, I will literally have this thing automated in your trading view so that you don't have to worry about getting in or out. This one, they want to know if it's going to be fast. They want to know if they need any money. They want to know if other people have access to the same deals. They don't want to be calling the same leads that everybody else is calling. Okay, this is the second type of headline. This is where you can do a social proof based headline. So there's the without the avatar having to do X, Y, and Z. And then the second kind of sub headline is, well, and it's all backed by X amount of revenue that we've generated through, commercial real estate, or that we've generated through SaaS, or we've generated for real estate, that we've generated for SaaS business owners, whatever it looks like. Right. And that is the social proof based headline. Okay. So we have when the webinar is, we have our 1 sentence headline that can also include the without if it's small enough. Okay. Because if I put the without here, it's technically not the subheadline. The subheadline goes underneath, and I usually will correlate the colors. So if you see kind of like a pattern here, whatever color I use on the top bar, I usually will make it the subheadline so that it kind of is like a little bit of like a leapfrog jump. I make the headline isolated because the headline is the most important part. This is your results-driven promise. And I get a question a lot about results-driven promises. Like, oh, what should mine be? Or, what if mine is just helping people grow on social media? Okay, well, break that down. What kind of growth do they see? what does that growth do for the avatar? And what is that avatar now going to be able to achieve now that they've gotten your growth? Or, what if you're just doing email? Well, I only work with business owners with 5,000 emails on their list or more, or whatever that looks like. There might be specificity to who you can serve. Okay, well, if there have 5,000 emails, take all your past case studies and say, okay, how much have these people generated? How many meetings have you generated? Okay, take an average. Like, you have to use your resource out and develop offers. Don't let the offer be the thing that stumps you. Because right now, I will make this very, very clear. If you can find a really sexy one sentence results driven promise, everything else in the funnel will take care of itself. Everything else in the funnel will take care of itself. It's easier to develop your product, your offer stack, to know the person's objections when you can simply just sit there and say the one thing in one sentence, right? What do I do? Okay, yes, sell one-to-many with 1-hour webinars that have generated a 4x ROAS across 90 plus niches and verticals. That is my one claim. Has a result, has an expectation, has a unique mechanism, 1-hour webinars. It's not like I'm saying copy and paste, drag and drop. Those words are very tough now. They've been used for a long, long time. Okay. You have to be very careful with that too. Okay.
So
And
Jason,
then
let's
on the next,
real quick, let's take a quick pause here and kind of see where everyone is. Jason's style is just going right into it and going through as much thorough, information as possible. So I want to take a pause and just make sure everybody's on the same page with me. For those of you that are macro thinkers, that are big picture thinkers, and you have to have the big bullet points, what we're talking about is economics of the offer, right? You have to make sure your the headline that you have in any of these pages, for that matter, wherever the headline is, whether it's in emails, whether it's in social content, whether it's the first hook that you speak in a video, the first like 7 seconds of what's coming out of your mouth, wherever that headline is, has to reflect the offer in a way that it repels everything that it's not, right? It allows people to say, oh, that's not for me, or that is for me, and differentiate. And Jason probably will tell you this, the biggest problem that happens when it comes to webinars is no one understand what the exact offer is. No one understands what is it that you actually get. When I go to events, for example, when I talk to marketers, I'll ask them, hey, what do you do? Every single one of them will tell me how they do the thing. How do they do the thing is what they tell me. They'll be like, oh, I do SEO, I do Facebook ads, I do social media marketing, I do blogs, I do web links. They tell me how they go about achieving the thing. But the thing is the actual result you generate for your clients for an XYZ timeline, for an XYZ exchange. Can you, I know we're talking about offers, but the economics of it, people have to really understand
yeah,
for it to convey into the right copy, right? Can you help us?
yeah,
Get through that.
yeah. So, dude, you brought up a great example, which is the SEO piece, and I have a great offer angle for that too, which is you say you do ads, you say you do SEO, you say you do email. Okay, you could take the whole SEO approach and say, I like training reveals how Google Partner is using a little known map loophole to rank beginner and current websites on the first page of Google in 90 days or less. That would be the webinar headline. You're using the unique mechanism. You're making this thing have a results driven promise of rank on the first page of Google in 90 days by using this unique mechanism. Instead of just saying, hey, I do SEO, what is the result that people actually want from SEO? And dude, I love that we reared back and like try to get some more context, because the biggest thing is, dude, I get so passionate about this that I do ramble sometimes. So I apologize, but I'm just
Yeah,
so passionate about this stuff. So
at first I was like, man, he's real passionate. I feel like he's yelling at me. But I'm realizing it's from practical pains of trials and tribulations. I do the same thing when I'm
yeah.
teaching. I'm like, dude, listen to me.
So the other thing to really keep in mind is that there was an example here in the chat that I wanted to break down actually. Someone tried to actually do a go at it. I hope I'm saying this correctly, but Adia Adea, I believe. She made a headline example where it says, training shows female focused financial advisor step by step how to tap into your inner circle, your most lucrative source of new business without selling. Okay. So there is a small little issue with this is that there's no specificity around what that inner circle is going to do. And what if they don't have any friends? So that's going to be an objection. I know that's might sound bold, but like there's people who literally sit there, they go through life and they're like, my friends would never buy from me. I don't want to sell my friends because people don't want to mix money and friends, right? Because sometimes that can go down the wrong path. So you have to think about the emotional and psychological part of that offer. That can definitely rear people in the wrong way. So what I would rather have you say is training shows female focused financial advisors how to X, how to, close an extra 5 clients per month by attending like blah, blah networking events or by saying these 3 things at local networking events. You see how they're small things, but low hanging fruit. Like I can actually sit there and go, okay, I know these 3 things, right? Like how do most people teach themselves things? They will look at it and say, okay, like I just need to know how to do this thing in just like 3 steps, or like what were the 3 biggest things, or what was the one biggest takeaway, so I know how to actually do it. Right? Like I didn't know how to use a circuit breaker until 4 weeks ago. And it's because my gardener explained it to me because he was doing the auto faucet thing. But he was like, you have to look at the breaker and each number is linked to an outlet, right? And then it go and like literally he explained how the whole breaker breaks down and why there's 2 things on one. I was like, that's all someone had to do was make it simple for me. And because he explained that to me and why he was fixing it, I then paid him. I was like, okay, this makes sense why my breaker's messed up. Like, all right, fine. I will pay. But if he were to sit there and say, yeah, so you're going to tap into this thing and then go to the front of the house and then run around, and I'll be like, dude, I'm not going to buy because you didn't explain it well. Like that
Yeah.
just sounds like a lot of extra work for no reason. I would
Yeah.
rather pay more for it to be more simplified. Just put the
Yeah.
breaker in the back, put the thing next to it. I click the button once a month. That's it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. And he set it up and I paid more for it because it was simpler.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about that for your actual prospects. A lot of people in here might know what Hyros is. You might not. Hyros is probably the best example of what a really good offer is. They took a SaaS and they said, okay, we help people get better attribution on their ads. Nope. That's boring. Right. What was sexier was copy and paste this one line of code on any of your websites and we'll drop your ad cost 30%. Done. That was the simplest offer headline that you could have made. But most people, when they get asked what Hyros is, they're just going to say, yeah, it's this attribution tool that helps me better track my ads. You want to know why they say it that way and why people think about offers that way? Because you're saying it person to person or referral. Referrals don't need all this copy and mechanisms and all this copywriting tools. That is referrals. They are warm leads. They don't need to be sold that hard. You're doing it this way because the people who are watching your content are cold traffic. They don't know who you are. And you could sit there all you want and say, oh, I'm the best at what I do. We will let the market decide if that is true. But you have to give the market a realistic expectation first before you can even make the claim.
Yeah.
Because the claim's everything. The claim is going to back up what people buy if they get a result. And here's the brutal truth. If you try to make it too big of a claim, you're going to get refunds. You're going to get chargebacks. You're going to get mad customers. Do not do that to yourself. Okay. There's a lot of people in the ad space, especially my space, who do a lot of offers that are just like very clickbaity, and I don't like it. So we just go for the simple approach that I'm going to sell with brand. Like, let's go with a lot of organic. Let's do a lot of events. Let's do a lot of podcasts. Right. And I'll get into small strategies here and there as we go along these 3 days together. But like the biggest thing is taking your headline and really simplifying it into the results driven promise.
Jason, if you
I
don't
think,
mind, if you, I'm not as savvy on webinar structures. You threw a lot of different words at me, so I'm gonna speak for those of that are brand new watching this. You said the RDP, which is basically a result-driven promise. If you can share that funnel, the couple of landing pages you had, can you break down that headline one more time? You said in the beginning, it's training
Yeah.
reveals, you had
Mhm.
research shows,
So
so
can
it's
I
not.
type this in the Zoom, or you want me to type it in the Facebook?
No, no, I want you to share your screen with that funnel and just
Okay.
walk me through the structure of that headline. And
Okay.
yeah, here we go, right? Any one of these,
So
right? So
okay.
help us
So
understand that
training
headline, three
shows.
different components. Yeah.
So training shows. This is where you're telling them what they're going to be attending. It's a training, right? If it was a live event, you would put live event in X city, but this is a live webinar. So
Mm,
it's
mm,
training shows. And then this is your avatar. The next piece is, okay, who is this person? Is it a real estate agent? Is it a insurance broker? Is it
yeah.
a agency owner? Is it a SaaS owner?
So
Step by step.
let's do a plumbing thing just for fun, okay? If I'm
Okay.
doing a SaaS to attract plumbers to sign up for $100 SaaS offer for them to get reviews. Just as an
I
example.
actually have a plumbing offer. That's actually funny you bring that up. I run this. So this is a great headline example. This is
Sweet.
not for a webinar, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. This is targeting plumbing owners, and this is for a book call funnel. But
Okay.
we can use this kind of as like a offer angle and
Okay.
and copy inspiration. So if it
Okay.
was for
Cool.
plumbers, it would say training shows how plumbers are hitting 1 million revenue mark, or are scaling to a $1 million run rate in 12 months. So training shows how plumbers are scaling to $1 million run rates in 12 months without I gotta
Having to sign up for 10 softwares or hire five marketing
yeah,
agencies.
like without complicated tech funnels or massive followings. And that's what
Yeah.
that would look like,
And that's a
right?
draft. I mean, we're just brainstorming as we go, right?
And
Now,
then Jared's plumbing company does well. So it would say, and it's all backed by my small town plumbing company in Ohio that does $3.2 million per year. That Jared will be revealing on this live masterclass.
is that helpful, you guys? I'm literally going back and forth here with Jason, just getting you guys to think in a way that's relevant to the local businesses, right? Is that helpful? Give me a yes in the chat if you want us to do another industry like that. Is that someone said examples help quite a bit. Okay, cool. Um,
Yeah.
can we do
Yeah,
one more?
I
Maybe
saw
like med
another one
spa?
in here.
Yeah, can we
A
do like a
med
med
spa.
spa or
Okay.
so? Yeah.
So a med spa would be, let me reshare my screen.
Yeah, I
I was
like
looking
looking
at
at the
Facebook
headline and
because
breaking down the three
so
different,
if
yeah,
it's a med spa, training shows how med spas are doubling their revenue in 90 days without spending a ton on ads, cold emailing, or having thousands of followers or something like that, or discounting their prices. That's a big objection. They think that they discount their prices to get a lot more revenue. Okay.
yeah,
Another one could be training reveals how med spas are adding 10K per month to their business without a website, because you could run lead forms without a website, a massive following, or um or thousands on paid ads.
yeah.
And
I
it's all
remember,
backed by, and then you could put, and it's all backed by 37 med spas over the last 6 months that we've scaled using our proprietary blah, blah med spa accelerator or something like that. You make it a unique mechanism. So that would be a very good example too.
so the key is, Jason, for us to figure out the avatar well enough to understand what are the things they don't want, right?
Yeah,
Because
what they
then
don't
that
want.
tells,
Yeah, what they don't want, but has believability too. Because remember, If I said training reveals how med spas are adding 30K a month to their business in 90 days, they might not believe that. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Okay. Or are
This
able to add 10K a month sounds just more believable.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I was in my second year of being an agency owner. I realized, okay, I got to niche down and go all in on one thing. And I went all in on dentistry because I had a healthcare background before marketing. And when I started talking to a lot of these dentists, I realized that they didn't want more patients. They do not want to see more patients. It's a big misunderstanding marketers had that was teaching all these different things. Everyone was driving teeth whitening, teeth cleaning, hundreds and hundreds of leads, where dentists actually just wanted 5 veneer patients that are worth 20K each.
Yeah.
So my webinar would have said, training shows that brand new dentists could get to $100,000 a week without paid advertising and not spending thousands of dollars on a marketing agency or something along the lines, or without having to see hundreds of cleaning patients.
Yeah. And then you could
Just,
also like some headline for that too, be like, and it's only going to require less than 5 employees and selling one service, at a 80% margin, whatever it looks like. Like that would be a good sub headline where it's like, hey, I don't need to have a crazy big team.
yeah,
I don't need to have, I could just sell one service, which is the
yeah,
veneers. I completely understand because I work with a
yeah,
dentist right now.
yeah,
He's just like, hey, push implants, push the veneers, implants.
yeah,
I don't want to do all these $99 teeth whitening specials,
yeah,
because it's just not that great of a lifetime value driver anymore. Now, here's a big thing that I really want to cover is as we go through these couple examples, I hope this is eye-opening for you guys. This is a big thing, though, that you also need to understand, okay, is that whatever you decide to sell on your webinar, okay, maybe it's a $997 course or a $2,000 SaaS for the year, whatever it looks like. A big thing right now is that you need to really understand what your product ladder is. And a lot of people who run webinars, they put everything and all they got on the front end, and you have no ability to upsell people once they start getting results with the first product. Do not be that person who goes on your webinar, sells a 997 course, and just takes every single product you got and say, okay, throw it all at them. Because when they get a result from your program, what are you going to sell them now? You can't because you gave them everything. So really think about that piece too. Like, what does your customer journey look like? Right? And this is a really, let me just go back to this screen and then I'm going to actually go over something real quick because this is really insightful for people, is the way that I look at the webinar and my whole customer journey. Because if you don't understand how your customers even move, building your offers is actually going to be a lot more complicated than you think. So let me just go through this. I'm trying to pull up my Canva. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, this is probably, and I do this a lot at my events. I really just want you to screenshot this. I'll share this with, Paulson, you guys can get this, but this is an important piece you realize, okay? Regardless of what your webinar is, okay? Your webinar is going to fall on your front end offer, okay? This is where you're driving people in to get a taste or to get a small result of what your business ecosystem looks like. So you have your front end offer. You want to make sure that you're not giving them everything and everything up on the front because you want to have a way for you to ascend them in 30 days and 60 days and get them on something on continuity. And then you want to get more referrals. And the biggest thing is that as you drive traffic to this webinar and you're getting people on your email list and you're getting customers and you're getting results, everything has to lead to the end here. And the whole premise of the end is referrals because the referrals are going to cover your ad cost. So that everything you've done to this very point on the first 4 levels is literally free. The whole point of running paid traffic and getting people on your webinar is that, let's say, and then this is a big misconception that people will sit there and go, oh, well, what if I run a webinar and I break even? Okay. If you run a webinar and break even, let's say you run a webinar and you spent $10,000 on getting people to sign up to your webinar and you sold 10 people on a $1,000 product. You should not be upset that you broke even, because what did you also do? Well, let's pull up my calculator here. Let's say I got $10,000 spent and my average sign up was 15 bucks. I got 667 people on my email list. Okay. That I can now drill for the next 7 days until the next webinar and get them on sales calls. And I self-liquidated my ad spend. And now I have 10 people who I can now ascend on 30 days and 60 days and get them on continuity and then get referrals from them. And also, these people who buy can show up on next week's webinar and they can be social proof for me so that other people can buy. So I just wanted to touch on that because I feel like a lot of people get this misconception that, oh, well, if I run a webinar, I better have a really high ROAS. Okay, unless you're a very, very big name, then you're going to have astronomical ROASes. But if you're just getting this thing off the ground, you have to be okay with breaking even or making a little bit of money because you're building an email list. And I'm telling you right now, with our business right now, if I didn't care about email that much, like the amount of money that we would lose every single month if I did not utilize my email list, it would be staggering to me. Okay. There was one person in here who I wanted to showcase another example. So Monty McCurley put, reveal how you can guarantee a portion of your retirement portfolio against market losses and be guaranteed to not outlive your income. Okay. So here's the thing, Monty, is that I don't, you have to consult an attorney, but I'm pretty sure you can't guarantee retirement earnings. So you have to consult somebody. I can't give you legal advice on that. But if you were to reword this, you could say, reveal how you can maybe, decrease your amount to retirement in half. That's a better way to push that kind of offer. So reveal how you can decrease or cut your retirement time in half, beat market losses, and you could say, and live and retire on a smaller income, but you just can't say guaranteed because that's a financial claim. You got to be very careful with that. So that's where I'd reword that. Like maybe you could decrease because people really think that they have to wait till 59 and a half to retire because they can't touch their money yet. What if they could just retire sooner and have more liquidity through better financial instruments? Or you could have made it say, hey, like training reveals this little known financial instrument or this 2024 like tax revised financial instrument that's allowing people to retire half or that is cutting their retirement time in half and beating market losses regardless of economic downturns. That would be a better headline.
Now, Jason, can you speak to the folks that are brand new that may not have a lot of case studies or they're just in the early stages? Like we're, I obviously don't want to lie about anything or be untruthful.
Yeah.
What are some things you recommend to kind of get that?
So, yeah, I mean, if you're just starting out, um, and you can't make any claims on social proof, one thing I will tell you right now is that you should do like a case study angle, okay? To where you can go to people out in the marketplace and say, hey, I'm running this case study. I'm looking for 8 small business owners. And I want to do this thing for free for you to collect case studies. Yes, I'm telling you, go do something for free in the beginning because here's the deal. You're going out to the marketplace, and if you're going to promise anything and you can't deliver, you're going to ruin your reputation more in the beginning than just taking a step back and doing a little bit for free while this thing might be your side hustle. And you might have a full-time job right now and you're just getting into this whole marketing game. Do not go for all the rah-rah on the internet about quitting your job and having this no 9 to 5 nonsense. Okay. I fully advise people to keep their jobs while they're going through this as a side hustle. I think it's great. It's actually financially literate for you to do so. And it also allows you to build your credit and business credit as you go along that journey. So don't just go for this whole side hustle thing. Oh, I want to make 4 to 5K per month on the side and I'll quit my job. No, and do not do that right now. Keep your income and move it into the business and invest in it, because you're going to put your back against the wall faster that way, because now you're taking complacent income that you've had for so long and you're putting it towards your passion. Okay. So if you're just starting out, go to people that are in the space that you're targeting. Maybe it's real estate. Okay. Find people locally, go to some networking events, pass a card around, talk to people. I'm not into the whole, like, with where I'm at in life right now, I don't go to networking events as much as I used to. But when you go to networking events, you are not going to bottleneck yourself in the beginning, because you're speaking to people who are your ideal avatar. When I was first getting off the ground, I was actually very efficient at going to networking events. I would go to meetup.com, Eventbrite. I would go to, even local events like Go High Levels events and, ClickFunnels, all these other events. $97 a ticket, $197 a ticket. Invest in your network, because at the place where I'm at now, my network really is my net worth. Like, the people that I know now are insane. And it wouldn't have been possible unless I actually got out of the shell of like going to events and doing X, Y, and Z. So utilizing events, speaking to people, being sociable, like even here in this chat, like reply to people in the Facebook chat, like talk to people. You never know. Like maybe you can help somebody in here and they could be your next case study. It's always the small rooms like this. The most engaged too get the most results, right? Like if you're having me go through your headline and you're giving feedback, like I can already tell that you're hungrier. It's just the way it is. So I congratulate you on that. And you got to start getting case studies so you can push a better claim, right? And if you're having trouble getting case studies, then what you have to do is you're going to have to either change your offer to be more believable or not try to go so bold. So, understand that premise too, is that, when you're pushing some type of offer, make sure that you've done it first. You're going to have better results that way. Like if you could sit there and say, okay, well, maybe you worked at a tech startup, let's say. This is a really good example. I recently just got equity inside of a fractional CTO company. We're like an IT tech solutions company, and we're helping people place fractional CTOs. Just because this person had a job doesn't mean that they don't have relatability to the entrepreneurial marketplace. So what did I do? I partnered with him. I said, hey, listen, dude, you understand the tech space. You know how much corporate companies are spending on CTOs. 10 to 15,000 a month with medical benefits and 401k. Let's just make a fractional CTO business, and we're just going to do it for them at 1/5 the cost monthly. So that's what we did. We took his expertise from his 9 to 5 and said, hey, listen, you understand the space. I can run the ads. I can do the marketing. You can do this, and you can fractionally CTO multiple businesses. So look at what you're doing right now, either in your current job. Like maybe you do cybersecurity. Like maybe you can target a niche that's used to getting hacks or having problems with cookies and cache and all these things. Target that because you have leverage, right? What's a good example? I had an old client who unfortunately passed away. But he was running an offer teaching people how to actually accelerate their fighter's pilot license because he used to be in the Army. He was in the Air Force. That's a good offer. He took what he did, for serving our country and said, hey, listen, I'm going to help people now. Now that I know this, they don't have to go to the Air Force. I can help to beat the learning curve. It doesn't have to be just a course. It could be beating the learning curve. I'm going to help you try to beat having to go through all the tribes of getting your fighter pilot's license. So stuff like that you can take from current 9 to 5 things that you do and turn them into your side hustle.
I love that. I think that's the key is people don't recognize what their strengths are often and they don't double down on it. They think about the next shiny object syndrome because somebody else is doing it from far. Okay, let me just jump because the grass is greener and often it's better where you're at. Jason, can we go back to the funnel for a second and help us
Yeah.
understand what the video is and what else is attached to it?
Yep.
So I know this is like a VSL feel, right?
Yeah. So, we can, okay. So we'll basically the video on every of these landers Some are lifestyle oriented, some are educationally oriented, depending on who your avatar is, right? For example, you were talking about dentists. Okay, if you're talking to dentists, you should probably be making this video in a dentist's office. Find a local client you're working with that maybe you're pushing a case study with. Ask them, hey, can I just film my ad in here so I can help other people like I helped you? Cool. Like, ask and you shall receive. Okay. So the video is really premised on what they're going to learn. And I believe, can they hear audio?
Okay, so check it out.
Yep.
Called the Extreme Wealth Builder System. This is my buddy Mike. I'm Bo. We've been best friends for over 25 years and business partners at the same time. We got over 30 to 35 years of business experience, and we bought a ton of real estate and own a bunch of businesses. We own 43 different companies in 15 different industries, and we own over.
So the big piece in the beginning of your video on this page is predicating the social proof on why they need to take you seriously. Because if you pre-frame social proof, they're not just going to sign up, they're going to want to show up. Just getting a bunch of signups doesn't really validate anything. You validate the offer with social proof, having a good offer, having a good guarantee, and having the proof to back it up. Okay? Because that's a big reason why people get a lot of high show rates. It's because they have proof and they get you excited.
For $150 million of real estate. So we're qualified to spread some knowledge, and we're willing to spread some knowledge. So we put together the Extreme Wealth Builder System where we're going to share our knowledge with you. The Extreme Wealth Builder started organically in our office, given.
The next piece is, what is this system and what's the story behind it? Okay, this is a big part of how the videos break down. So first is, who are you? What's happening? Live Thursday at 7 p.m. Social proof, and then storytelling. Which is, hey, we found this system, which I just told you led to all the success in the beginning. Now I'm going to tell you how we founded it. Like, how do we come up with it? Because the storytelling is a huge part of marketing that most people still misconcept. Yes, results-driven promises are important, but when you tell your story, like, I was talking to a one-on-one student before, and he was asking me, oh, I saw your video playing basketball. Like, why, how'd you get so good at basketball? And I told my whole story and how I went from basketball to culinary school and how I had an HGH issue. Like, I had a human growth hormone deficiency. And when I tell these stories, how I wasn't always 6'1", I was 4'11", 70 pounds when I was in culinary school and I was lost and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. People get really grabbed to the story because it's like a down and out story. No, I wasn't homeless and my parents weren't poor. Like, we lived decently well. I'm not doing that whole story that everybody else does. I feel like people just do it all the time. But like I was in a middle class family. You need to talk about that story and you need to use it as the mechanism, because storytelling, we're people still. But the whole angle that I've always used is, remember when we were kids, like, we always wanted bedtime stories. And let's say you're hanging out with your friends, and a lot of us do maybe group events Friday nights. You go out, maybe you have a couple of drinks, you go to events, you go to church. Okay. If you went to your friend right now and you said, dude, the event this weekend I went to was awesome. There was all these people here and the speakers were awesome. That's one angle. But what if that instead I said, dude, you're not going to believe what happened with me and Sarah last weekend. You leave them on a cliffhanger, and that's the power of storytelling. Okay. So the way that you talk to them is going to predicate, and storytelling is huge.
People advice. They happened over and over again. And we decided, hey, let's put together a course and teach people exactly how we open these businesses, buy these businesses, and analyze and purchase real estate. That's how it originally started. So we put together 6 hours of what it takes to build a business, build a real estate portfolio, and run those companies. Hey, I've heard it 1,000 times before. 90% of all millionaires make their money in real estate.
Okay. So once you're doing storytelling, now you're bringing up statistics. You need to have statistics that back up a certain claim. So, let's say you're in the health and weight loss space. You're going to want to use a lot of stats from the FDC and all these food commission foundations and why the food isn't good and like how it's made and all these things that would get people to understand, like, wow, our food sources are really not great. I might need to switch the way I'm eating. Because numbers don't lie, people do, right? And that's the biggest thing. Like 2 + 2 = 4, but people can make all the claims they want. That's why you got to back it up with stats. So with that, retirement offer, if you were like, hey, 86%, I don't know what the percentage is, but 86% of people aren't able to live through retirement without Social Security. Like that's scary because Social Security might be gone soon. It probably will be, to be honest. I don't know the numbers, but it will be gone in the next 10 years for sure. So that is what you would use as like statistics plus like fear-based. I'm not really into the fear thing as much, but like it would scare people because it's their finances. It's not that you're doing a fear monger, it's that people are doing the fear to themselves. You know, like if we knew that 90% of the population chewed gum, we were like, hey, this ingredient in gum is causing X by the age of 55. Now everyone who's chewing gum is like, oh crap, I should probably stop chewing gum. Like I'm actually going to consider stopping, you know?
Now, just a quick
There's
question.
other,
Are the videos very aligned to the structure of the headline? Because like it's the first like couple of seconds is a social proof for a certain result, and then it's stats or like a mechanism, and then it's how
yes,
to achieve that result. Is that the same reflection that I'm seeing?
it's the same. Yeah. So the first is, you know, what we're going to be doing live this Thursday. Then it's the mechanism. Then it's the story backed by statistics, then social proof of, hey, listen, below this video are some pieces of social proof and screenshots of people who have done X. So make sure you, and then CTA. Make sure you click the link. I will see you live on Zoom this Thursday. You're reiterating the offer again, and we're going to show you how to get your first commercial property. So click, reserve your free spot, and I will see you live on Zoom Thursday night. And that's how the videos would then correlate. There's also a second variety of video. Let's say somebody in here likes being on video a lot. You got a big personal brand. You're like, hey, I have 100,000 followers. I have a videographer. He follows me around, gets a ton of content. Okay, then you're gonna do a video like this, where it's more like, you know, lifestyle based and like, you know, it's very basically like the whole angle that Justin did here was like, hey, when 2008 hit, this whole thing happened and the power of real estate. And like he's going through the whole like, hey, no jobs, people had no money, blah, blah, blah. All these bad economic times. Like, here's another chance for you to get that same opportunity because right now, interest rates are about to drop and you can arbitrage X, Y, and Z. The spreads on wholesaling are bigger, like proving the concept this way, right? So there was another type of like lifestyle based example. This is the one with car salesman. So, you know, Luke did this one. This was really good. I can actually backtrack this one and let's play it.
Salespeople. The world is changing fundamentally as we speak. But did you know that it's creating an opportunity that most people are missing out on completely? You see, recent events have recreated commerce, if you will, and only 18% of today's buyers feel like they can trust salespeople. You see, the marketplace has changed, but the sales process has not. Buyers gone wise, and now their guard is up. That's why nearly 70% of salespeople say their job is harder now than ever before. Contrary to what today's influencers would like you to believe, it's not some program, it's not some movement. The answer is to simply stop being a salesperson because that's what they expect. That's what the customer has prepared for. My name is Luke Walkenheimer. I've been selling for a quarter of a century, during which I've received countless hours of sales training. I've gone to conferences, expos, all trying to find the secret to closing more deals. Was it words, tonality, reading, presentation? There was none. The only thing I found was the best trainers were just good entertainers, motivators, getting me all fired up. But a month later, the ether wears off and you're back at square one. So I did exhaustive research. I used my own salespeople as guinea pigs, and I developed my own way based in reality. Paid to persuade is like nothing you've ever been exposed to. We don't teach you word tracks and rebuttals. We teach real skills. Sales motivators, they're a ton of fun to watch. I get it. They make great YouTube reels. But is that what your career needs? You ever seen one close a difficult customer live? Seen their face when the rebuttal doesn't work and someone actually pushes back? Think about it. Learning word tracks is like buying a bunch of gourmet meat and then having a few good meals, but they run out. Why wouldn't you just learn how to hunt? You've got two choices when you see something like this. I get it. You can dismiss it, treat it like spam. You can live with what if, or you can do what your gut tells you. Take a little leap. Become one of the brave people who have had their entire life changed by this program. The salespeople who have learned this process, they feel as though they've been awakened.
Their confidence is skyrocketing. Their commissions have doubled, and their workday is easy now. Because selling isn't a challenge anymore. They're just being themselves. But now their conversations close deals. Look at your pay stub. Look at your year-to-date commission. And think, if that number was nearly doubled, what would life look like? Now, ask yourself if that number simply stays the same again next week and again the week after. What are you going to miss out on?
So like this whole presentation, we told Luke what to do with this, but he went for more storytelling because every single avatar has their own pain point that they're trying to hit. So Luke just doesn't like all the motivational rah-rah about sales and how it's a masculine thing and yelling at people and all this stuff that you see online. He doesn't like all of the, rah-rah. So, and then he goes into this part.
Nearly doubled their income. Some far better. The only difference between them and you, they took the training. You haven't. That's it. Nothing more. Don't live with regret. Hit the link. What's the worst that could happen? Ask yourself that. Not doing it, that could cost you everything. This is as far as I can take you, my friends. The rest is up to you. I'll see you on the welcome screen.
What I
So
what I
that's
noticed
basically
about this, what I noticed about this, Jason, is that he didn't sell me a program. He didn't sell me a specific offer. He just sold me the next action step within the funnel.
Yeah.
Right? It's like move to the next step. That was really the big thing. It's like don't miss out on the training. And it wasn't focused on buy my $25,000 coaching program.
Yeah. So the big thing too with this, and I want people to realize, is that not everything is set in stone on this page. Okay. You can use and you can upgrade your high level account to be able to do split tests, because we don't just test headlines. We test videos. We test multiple facets of a webinar that would dictate if something works or not. Some niches, that's why I show you a lot, because I know sometimes they can be like, well, this didn't match what you said before. It is depending on the avatar. The reason why I show you 4 to 5 examples is because different niches predicate different verbiage, different stories, different pain points, different infatuations. You either go for the story or you go for the sign up, results, social proof, call to action. Okay. And either one, you have to test which one works, because here's the biggest piece on, a lot of the things we'll go over on day 2 and day 3, which is like the KPIs, which is what kind of numbers you're looking for, right? If you are running a webinar, don't just try to get the cheapest lead cost possible. You want real people in the room, right? You don't just want to have, like, if you're getting $2 signups, cool. But what if they're not the right leads? You're now going to sell the wrong offer to the wrong person. And because you didn't tell a good story, they're not emotionally attracted to you, which means that you selling them now needs to be a logical kind of buy. And I'm just going to be honest, most people are not logical. Okay. They're just not. Okay. That's why people know that alcohol is bad. People still drink. People know that texting and driving is against the law. They still do it anyway. And people know that cheating is bad on their wife or husband. They do it anyway. Like, people know these things are bad. They do it anyway. So people are not logical. That's why most people emotionally buy. So, and then, what else I do on the landing page here is I go into what they're going to learn. So this is the next piece of all my webinar pages, is what are you going to learn? Same thing with this angle too. What are you going to learn? I either do 3 parts or 4 parts, and it's always going to be the next section here.
And do you always do 2 colors only, white and a accent? I'm noticing that. Or is
Yeah, I
that
keep
by
it congruent. Yeah, I keep it congruent because if there's too many colors, people will throw so many colors on a landing page where I'm like, dude, this thing looks like a scam. Like, you got to make it branded and congruent, because here's the biggest piece. Whatever you put here, your slides or your presentation or your next page, and you have the same branding. And if at any point the slides don't, like, let's say this one's green and white and they go on the webinar and it's bluish, they're like, wait a second. The landing page look like they really have that color recognition. Like, all my stuff on my subtitles, yellow and black. The landing page is yellow and black. Wojo Media is yellow and black. It's all yellow and black. It's congruency. Okay. So that's why I keep it that way, because I don't want anybody to sit there at one point and be like, hey, I don't recognize that brand. I want them to recognize the brand. So here, We go through the 4 things or the 3 things. Depending on your webinar, you might have 3, you might have 4, but don't do 2 or 1 because they'll make it look like it's too easy. Okay, you gotta have 3 or 4. Don't do 6, don't do 7. I've tested this, it's too much. 3 or 4. Okay, then you get into results. Okay, and this, just so you realize, I'm just gonna go, these are just screenshots of trades. Okay, every 3 pieces of social proof, you need to have a button. Okay, if you do not have a button, every 3 pieces of social proof, you're going to make people have to then keep scrolling more to find the next button. It's a conversion hack. Tested this so many freaking times, it's not even funny. Every 3 pieces of social proof, you need a button. A lot of people just assume, oh, well, if I had all 6 or 9 of these stacked up, I could just put a button down here. No, that's for desktop. 97% of your users are mobile. So make it easy for them. Then you go into the whole meet the presenter, where you have to explain their social proof. Why should you listen to them? This is the bio piece of the webinar page. Okay, you go through all that, and then you have FAQs, which I believe. Okay, so yeah, we tested this on Luke's. Luke's was better to have his bio above social proof. We tested it. For some reason, putting testimonials above his bio actually did worse. I don't know why, but the numbers don't lie, so it's whatever. Okay, and then we go into FAQs because people have big questions before they hop on this webinar. Where will I get this course? Do I also get mentorship? Who is this for? We're pre-framing the sale in the FAQs because they know, they're smart. They know if I attend a webinar, they're going to sell something. No one just goes on a webinar and doesn't sell anything. Okay. How long does it take to get results? Is there any support if I get stuck? Like, they want to know these precursor things before they actually continue. Okay. And then picture of him with Brad Lee and picture of him with the Elliott crew. Like, this was good social proof too, because a lot of these guys have pre-vetted him in the space for sales training. We tested this one with FAQs. It didn't work well. Okay. So if everyone's wondering why they're not FAQs, we added to the page, the conversion rate dropped. So maybe we were being too abrasive with the FAQs, because when we did FAQs for Luke, it was very like, like Luke's very muscular. So he's a pretty pushy dude. It's like, some of the FAQs were just very abrasive. Ones like this, testimonials. This, we pre-qualified who they were instead of FAQs. We tested FAQs versus having this kind of angle. This is some way that you could actually end the landing page instead of FAQs. So who is it perfect for? Is this right for me? That's a good angle too to have on the end. 7% of attendees joined after attending this training. This pre-frames the buying cycle. Like, hey, there's a mastermind that we're going to sell you, and 70% of people will attend it. Okay, leading to faster wins and replacing income with real assets. Who is this for? It's perfect for those who are still looking for the first deal. Real estate investors who are looking to triple their income productivity, who are working 9 to 5, who are looking for a way to simplify their portfolio with one property, who are limited on time and funds because they don't have to use their own money. Okay. This one is the same thing, but what are these 4 things? Okay, what you will learn. 1 hour. What are these 4 things people are going to learn? Okay, this one's not fully live yet, but finishing the bio piece here with a picture. Still doing this with them. I wanted to show this one because this one is in progress. So I feel like it'd be cool to show you one in progress. So we're going to put his bio picture here. Keep in mind, okay, you're going to put something here that's an authority pick, either him on front of a magazine, either him in front of his, maybe he has a nice Benz, or him at an office building with his logo behind him with a ClickFunnels award behind him, whatever it looks like for Jamie. Okay. And then testimonials, and we're going to build the rest of the page, but I want to show you this one in progress. And
Quick
then
question
they
for you.
click.
Quick question for you here. This is all around one offer, right? You're not sharing 2 or 3 different options. You're not even talking about anything else outside of this one thing.
Yeah. So I always want to keep it on one thing because the one thing is the main thing. And if I were to tell them too many different offers, I would over confuse them. It would overlap to where someone would say, hey, I saw this thing on your website about this, but like, do you also do that? Like, now they're confused already. Confused people don't buy, right? a good example is like the 30-day free trial that we're doing for people on the workshop. If we said to them, hey, listen, you have to wait till the end and click a link and do a survey and do this, like, and we also have 3 options, it's too confusing. Just 30-day free trial, go get the high level free trial, right? Same thing with this. If I told them, hey, we have a mastermind and a partner program and blah, 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 it would just over confuse people. And now they're confused. They're not going to take action or buy anything. Also, I've tested a lot of pop-ups. This pop-up has worked every single time. It wins every single time. So the way that I do step 1 and enter information below to reserve your spot, full name, email, phone, reserve my spot now. These buttons, this verbiage, this kind of pop-up and copy has worked very, very well. Okay.
Now, do you ever do anything where it's just in the funnel itself without a pop-up, where it's a form, like, or do you like pop-ups no matter what?
Dude, the pop-ups have worked better for these. They have. I don't know why. It's weird, but it has worked better. So, I mean, just for our clients, it has. Maybe there's certain verbiage that would make the embedded form better, but these pop-ups just worked. Like, it's actually really cool. And then now here's another thing. Okay, I'm showing you this example. I believe we updated this. We're about to launch this in about a couple days. This one, we have a different kind of pop-up. Okay, and this is important to understand, is you can do, this is like a webinar jam, ever webinar kind of sequence, to where you can actually embed a button instead of using the precursored buttons in your high-level account. Okay, so they want to run automated ones. So when they're automated, you want to use something like Ever Webinar. If you're wondering what that is, Ever Webinar is a partner of Webinar Jam, JAM, and basically they work together to do either a live webinar or you could do automated. This is important too to understand, is that not every single webinar, people were asking in the chat before, where am I going to host mine? You can do Zoom, but if you have the inclination that you're going to want to automate at any point, you want to hook up your landing page to Webinar Jam and do it from Webinar Jam. And I'm going to tell you why. If you're doing live webinars in the beginning, you got to do them live first. Prove the concept. Get your slides dialed in. Get your presentation dialed in. Get your offer dialed in. Then you're going to take the best version and then go to Ever Webinar, because Webinar Jam and Ever Webinar work together. And Webinar Jam records them. Records the chats, all that stuff, to where you can then take the automated one and run it as the live. And it has everything automated for you to where you don't have to re-record again or do another live. You just move it, and this is the only time I'm going to say it, but you can drag and drop it over. So you can drag and drop it from the live to the automated, and now you're running traffic, and you don't have to be there. You could have a VA or an admin or an assistant just watch the chat and put the payment links in when people are ready to buy. So now you could pull yourself away from the equation, and then you can focus on fulfillment and the back end and all the important parts of the business, or pushing new offers. I don't know, whatever you want to do, right? Another way to really get the most out of your lives too is going to be not just running them live, but maybe doing StreamYard. Okay, StreamYard's a cool tool where you can go live on Instagram, on Facebook, like you guys are. You can do all these different tools to hit different platforms. Maybe you have 500 followers on Instagram, 2,000 people on Facebook. You got 300 on YouTube. Go live on everything, and you can get the most out of your audience. We tested this webinar with Justin's got a very big following. He's actually a very big name in the space. He's actually one of Andrew Tate's friends, so he gets a lot of followers. But Justin, we had him go live on Sunday at 5 p.m. And we were like, dude, just go on your Instagram story and post it. He had 300 people who showed up within an hour. And within an hour, we sold 60 grand. And it was cool. He sold a 6K product to 10 people. It was insane. I didn't expect it, to be honest, because the offer wasn't even dialed in. And to be honest, the video wasn't even great. It was a little fuzzy. They didn't have the camera guy hooked up correctly. And I was like, oh, this is like, but he still made it work because the offer was so good. Sometimes where things might fall apart, the offer will save you. It will. There's going to be webinars that you run where maybe something tech-wise goes wrong. Your audio is off, or maybe a slide has a misspelling on it. It happens. We're people. We're humans. It is all part of being a human. Okay, it's going to happen. But if your offer is really, really good, it doesn't matter, right?
So Jason,
So I
let
hope
me
that
ask you a
goes well.
question. What is the next component of running and selling one-to-many with 1 hour webinars? Like, are we going to go into the structure of the presentation today? Is that for tomorrow? Like, what's
I'm
the
gonna
next
go
layer?
over, yeah. So what I wanted to do for the last half an hour that we have is I wanted to take some questions because I feel like
Okay,
people have a bunch of questions. And I've been going. Tomorrow we're gonna go through a proven slideshow, and
I love that.
we're going to be doing Kevin's because Kevin's makes the most. Kevin's crushes. It's one every single day of the week. I freaking love his presentation. Um, just realize that there's a lot of templates and stuff out there, and even I'm going to give you one. You have to go above and beyond, even when you get a template. Okay, I'm going to give you stuff that works, but Kevin's like he spent a couple $100 on someone to go back into it and do a grammar check. He spent another $1,000 for a designer to go in and make it nice and do all these cool little images and vector images and the congruency and the fonts and all these things that matter. Like they just do. Okay. So take what I'm giving you as the foundation, prove your foundation with these things, and then enhance it with like, think about it this way. The reason why Kevin's does well than others is the simple fact that Kevin just spent more money on it. I'm going to be honest. Like we have clients who do webinars and they're like, I don't want to pay a designer to do my webinar. I'm like, why would you not? It's $1,000, $1,500. Do it the right way. They don't want to do it. They don't see the value. They're like, no. I'm like, okay. Kevin did, and Kevin makes more. So he just took a better approach because you got to understand, guys, when they're on your webinar, they're cold traffic. They don't know who you are. If you put a lot of money into the presentation and it looks very nice and clean, doesn't your prospect then think like, hey, the product is probably going to be very good too then? He's putting all this work into the slides. It's precursoring how well the product's going to be for me, how successful I'm
Mm,
going to be. Okay. It's a very good precursor. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything else. So I want to take questions from people in the chat.
I love that.
And then also what we'll go through tomorrow is slides. We'll go through the proven webinar. Okay. And in between, I'll answer questions too on that. We'll also go through the winning ad copy for webinars, what your ad copy should look like. And then we're going to go look at winning webinar ads, those 4 things. And then day 3, I'll go through campaigns with you, launching it, the emails, and the SMS. And then we'll go
I
through
love
some
it.
best practices.
I love it. So
So,
here's what we're gonna do. The next, let's see, 20 minutes, we'll go through and do a Q&A. So if you haven't got a chance to join us on the streaming on the Facebook page, go to the Facebook page. There's a link in the Zoom chat. Zoom chat is intentionally turned off. That's so we could save content, save questions and interactions and FAQs and all of that for later. So I want you to type the word letter Q or the word question and then ask the question. So that way, when the comments are coming in, I can differentiate a comment versus a question if you guys don't mind. So
yeah.
type in the
So
word question or Q and I'll pull up the ones that are relevant and we can go through each one, Jason.
yeah. So while they're putting in questions, I just pulled a couple here. Jill said this is for a paid masterclass. No, these are all free. You're doing this because you want to get more people on the list. And a lot of people I've tested a ton. They don't want to pay $27, $9 for a webinar. They really don't, unless it's like a live event, right? Which would be charging 97 more than that. So, and then Jonathan's curious how Jason landed the privilege to push his GHL affiliate. Dude, man, not the goal. The goal is to provide you with a ton of value, man. So, I've just been partners with them for a while. Thank you for your time. Awesome. What if you were using a free download on the lead magnet, but the ultimate goal is to get them to sign up for a 9-week program? You're selling the 9-week program on the webinar. So you could give them a lead magnet to give them an incentive to show up. Of course, you could do a lead magnet. Hey, like, let's say you were running a tax offer, right? Like, here's how entrepreneurs are saving an extra 20% on their taxes. And if you attend, I'm going to give you my free Excel sheet that helps you break down your expenses so you can actually copy and paste in your business right now, or not copy paste, but like you could drag and drop, or like those words are cool for templates, right? So That would be a cool bonus to give. It really just depends, but you want to give them a free lead magnet to incentivize them for sure. Try to seal the program, then do nurture emails. No, you're going to sell on the webinar, but also, and I'll get into this on day 2 and day 3, are best practices for the webinar. But that will be for day 2 and day 3 for sure. And the emails are going to nurture them even during and after. Okay, let me see. Doing a webinar for a free download. No, you can use a free download to get them to sign up for the free webinar as an incentive. Is this landing page set up for a paid webinar versus a free? It is for free. Just get people to show up. Yeah, Jill, the free download is to get people to show up. What would you do if you are not an expert in the field, you want to run a webinar on? I mean, and this is just like really just a big integrity piece, is that I would want you to run a webinar, something that you are somewhat of an expert in, so that, you know, like, it's not in a criticizing way, but I just want you to be able to give a lot of value to what you're talking about. And I just don't want you to give people like a misleading information. If that, I'm trying to make it, you know, it's this thing where if you're not an expert, then if you get people to buy something and they're not satisfied, you're going to have slander. And I don't want you to have that. I want you to be an expert and talk with confidence on what you're teaching.
The other
That is,
option is to leverage expertise, right? And in this
yeah.
example, like I brought Jason in to teach us about 1 hour webinars. I'm not the expert. I'm just facilitating the conversation and the stage for all of you to learn, right? So you can also go to small businesses and ask someone to join you and make them the expert and let them have the reign on what it is and make sure that they approve the offer or they align with the offer at least and create a partnership that way. That's always a better angle versus just trying to teach something that you're not an expert at.
Yeah. And someone asked how often you should run webinars? Once a week. Run them once a
Yeah.
week. There's no harm in doing once a week.
That reminds
If I'm
me,
just starting out,
yeah, that reminds me, you said Thursday 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. How did you get
7
to
p.m.
that?
Eastern.
Yeah. What help us understand that? Because I thought Sundays were often pretty popular as well in some industries.
So 7 p.m. is around the time where people kind of want to have dinner in today's world. Okay. They're driving home from 9 to 5 traffic. They get into their home, they settle in, they get a bite to eat, and they can actually sit down at 7 p.m. That's the first thing. Second thing is on PST time. PST is 4 p.m. That's right before they end their workday or leave the office. So both can actually digest the information.
Mm, got it. And why
Okay.
Thursday versus weekends or any other day?
So weekends, people are too busy going out, partying, socializing, going to football games. That's their time to unwind. Also, Friday is where they celebrate the end of the week. Wednesday is hump day, and Monday and Tuesday is dealing with all the stuff that got kicked from last Friday. So Thursday was a good sweet spot.
Cool. Good to know. Someone's asking here, can you give an example with selling reputation management by chance? So like selling
Uh,
reviews as a offer.
Okay. If you're selling reputation management, you should also be thinking about what the results are of the reputation management. So, are they going to rank higher on Google because they're getting more reviews? Is it automated? Those are two things that are true. They're going to get more Google My Business reviews because they got their reviews up. That's number one. Number two is they're going to rank higher on Google because they have more reviews. Number three is that if it's automated, that's cool as well. Four would be I would actually find a partner who does press, because reputation management isn't only about reviews, it's also about press. So maybe partner with a local news station, a local PR agency, somebody you can refer business to so that you can give a full all-on package to suffice the client's extra problems that you're giving them, because you want to be the solution for those problems. So that would be my advice to you for sure. Because let's say, for example, right, your webinar was reveal how business owners are ranking higher on Google, getting more 5-star reviews, and swiping competitor traffic by using this blah blah system. right? Because if they're ranking higher, then they're getting, more traffic that their competitors would usually be used to doing. So that would be a better offer. Think about more of a results driven promise that they actually want. Like I could sit there all day and say, hey, I'll get you more reviews, but like, what are the reviews doing for the business owner? Why is it important? So really think about that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Got to Health asked a really good question that a couple people have asked, which is if I'm just starting out, what kind of budget should I have to launch? You mentioned ads and webinar softwares. Okay, this is a great question. A lot of people have been giving me context on this, and then I'll get to Martin's. Actually, no, we'll get to Brian's. So like if you're just starting out, every time I run ads, I always recommend $50 a day on ads to get it off the ground. Your webinar software can be Go High Level and Zoom, right? So you got High Level, you got Zoom. If you want to run Ever Webinar or you want to run Webinar Jam, you're going to be spending about $99 a month on that software. But I would get it off the ground first with High Level and Zoom, which Zoom is $25 a month to host a certain amount of attendees. So that's what you're looking at. So you're looking at, $99 for High Level. You're looking at $99 for Webinar Jam. You're looking at $25 for Zoom, and then $50 a day for ads. So 1,500, about $2,000. What would you do if, oh, wait, what's the
And
thought
Jason,
process to have?
quick question for you on the pricing. Does this work for a low ticket and high ticket equally? Like a lot of SaaS people are selling $100 or $300 or $200 SaaS tickets. Does that make sense
Okay.
to run this model versus $5,000 coaching program or $10,000 service clients, you know?
So yeah, so here's the thing. I would run it if it's $100 a month, $200 a month, because what can we do? We can offer stack. We can say, hey, listen, on this live, we're going to give you the whole year for a certain price and plus these bonuses. So that's how you can make it more appealing. Maybe they don't want to just do the 1 month. You incentivize people on this webinar to get an exclusive offer. Hey, you were on here. Thank you for your time for an hour and a half. Here's what I'm going to give you today. Usually, like let's say, for example, let's say Wojo Media was $100 a month. Okay, Wojo Media is $100 a month. Well, you could get it for $897 for the whole year on this very live webinar. So you could sell it that way, where they're getting 3 months for free and they get a ticket to an event and they get maybe a one-on-one call with somebody. Like you add bonuses and you get a signed copy of our book or something like that, right? You would make an actual realistic bonus that would get them more results and more access to really stack the SaaS offer itself.
Got it. That makes sense because you can always sell annual packages and bigger tickets attached to it and hybrid offers and things like that to make it worth um, a while. So someone's asking, I know you said to not make, Neil is asking, I know you said not to make too wild of a claim on to be compliant. Then most of the headlines are saying double your business. Do you mean that you could be more bold in your headlines and then cover the more realistic results later on a page? Or should we try headlines that are less big, like adding 3 or 5 clients on Autopilot versus double your business?
I mean, if you can double their business, you better come prepared to the webinar to have enough proof to back it up, right? That's number one. Number two is that if you're going to make that claim, you better give the right expectation time frame. Now, if you said 30 days, that's not a lot of believability. But if you said 6 months, 90 days, right? You have to give the right expectations that have believability, right? I'm not into that whole like, hey, double your clientele in 7 days. That's crazy. Like, there's no way. Okay. There's ramp up periods for everything, and business owners understand that. You also have to think about the objections that your offer brings to the table. What slides are you going to have that bring up the objection, how you handle it, and why it makes sense? Because you have to do a mix of emotion and logic. You have to mix those two together. Most people are not logical, but you have to bring logic to emotion. Right. So, when they're sitting there and they're like, how is he going to double my business in 30 days? Okay, well, week 1 is this, and week 2 is this, and week 3 is this, and week 4 is that. If you break it down that way, you actually can have more believability. But you got to have case studies that show people who had that same time frame. Don't say in the webinar, hey, you're going to double your business in 90 days, and then you show a graph and someone doubled it in 5 months. Like, that doesn't make any sense. There needs to be congruent social proof as well.
Got it. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we share a few notes on the 30-day trial and we can close out day one and make sure the recording is available for everyone. What do they get if they jump into the 30-day trial? I'll go ahead and drop the link for the 30-day trial. into the chat, and then we can close out.
Yeah. So when you guys get the 30-day trial, you're going to be able to get the landing page template that I use for webinars. That's number one. Number two is the SMS and emails. And then also I'm going to show for people who want to look forward to day two and me explaining things, I'm dropping this all inside of the Google Doc. There's going to be a Google Doc that has all these that I'm going to be giving out. So you got your SMS and email templates. You got the winning landing pages. Okay. You have the three is you have the examples of good ads. You have all the ad copy. And then day three, I'm going to show you and I'm going to launch an ad live with you. So you can see how I actually go through Facebook ads. Because I don't want you launching this thing on like TikTok or whatever, just to make it quicker. Like I want to actually explain it so that you know how to launch your first ad. And yeah, I mean, the 30 days you can get, if you follow the steps I'm going to give you over these 3 days, and we're already wrapped up with day one here, you're going to be able to launch a webinar. You could, if you really wanted to, you could launch it for next Thursday if you really wanted to. You know, if you went back and did all the notes and built the landing page and got a designer and started building slides, you could launch your ads by Friday, have signups for a webinar next Thursday. You really could.
Yeah.
So breaking all these things down is going to be a lot of benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that are already on a high level account, you don't need to do anything. On day three, on Wednesday, we'll make these snapshots and all these collaterals available to you as long as you have an existing account. But we won't release that until day three, just like all the other 3-day workshops. So stay tuned. Jason, thank you for day one. Tomorrow, we're going to dive even more deeper into this and go through some cool stats and cool things about how presentations could be built, what the psychology is behind it, and then day three we'll talk about the follow-up systems and SMS and automations behind it. But we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
See you tomorrow.